pie in the sky. We've already seen some amazing progress in very, very, in a couple of months. So I do think it is, if we're going to use the word paradigm shift, it kind of drives me nuts, but that's what we're talking about. I do think that not just the county, but the cities, people that are in a position of having to make the tough decisions, we need to help with those tough decisions, but we need to have a kind of an organizing framework that we're all agreeing we're moving towards together as far as planning. So I guess that's what I would say.
I want to point back to the North Coast targets of opportunity as a potential framing document, because it does identify a lot of what we all have been talking about today as industries for economic development. And there are ways to connect all those, and so that might be a good document for the county to look at for the economic development plan, and a way for the groups to connect and make that case.
Well, I would totally agree with Steve. I hearken back to the Mendo Futures operating principles, and a group of individuals that were involved in that group to move so far forward so quickly, they had to adopt these principles in a whole and individually to move that forward. And that nice cliche paradigm shift. If we're going to move into the future, we're going to have to come to an understanding of these types of principles to be able to sort out ideas, put them on the ground or not, but to continue to move the county into the future. Otherwise, we're going to fall behind, and when we fall behind, it hurts the individuals, it hurts the services the agencies are trying to provide. That in turn hurts the individuals again, and you start the spiral downward to nobody's improvement. And so the true paradigm shift is agreeing to disagree, but still moving towards the goal. So we're going to move to public comment in just a second, and I think we're at that point, unless there's other panel.
I just had one other closing comment. As we've been doing the work with for the tribal community, on behalf of the tribal communities, I think the word, and I'm sure this probably goes without saying, but I think sometimes it's worth repeating or saying it out loud anyway, and that is that the word that comes to my mind is comprehensive, and which would in my mind include, one is livable wages, because I think counties and municipalities can influence the kind of wages that companies do come and establish in a community. They can influence what those wages are. And the other aspect, as we look at development, community or economic development, is the housing issue. And those are two of the main issues that we're looking at as we do our planning. Is that those are two main things that we have to have. We have to create livable wage jobs, and we have to have housing for those people to live in. And again, without those things, that's one of the things. We do have people that are educated that want to come home, but there's no place to come home to. And I know that I've heard in other circles here in Mendocino County the same issue. There's children from families that are from this county that do want to come home, but it's like, what is there to come home to? I mean, it's high. Look forward to paying a high price for where you live and lower wages. And so I think looking at having something that's holistic and really meets all the needs of the community is something to keep in mind as we all move forward together.
Thank you, Justin. I move to public comment at this point, and I have two speaker cards. First speaker is Rob Scott.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I'll make this very brief. My name is Rob Scott. I'm on the board of directors of the Mendocino Coast Chamber of Commerce, and I'm the co-chair of the Economic Development Committee of the Chamber. But I'm here today strictly as an individual resident of Mendocino County. In 2006, I chaired a tourism growth panel of the Mendocino Coast Economic Outlook Conference. It was put together by Tom Becker, who's also here in the audience. During our portion of the conference, I heard two terms that were completely new to me. The first was destination marketing. It was in reference to tourism. And the second was woofs. Woofs. And I was told that that meant well-off older folks. This afternoon, I'd like to suggest that Mendocino County consider itself as a destination market for retirees such as myself. This concept has been on my mind for several years, and it was brought into strong focus in January by an excellent article in the Wall Street Journal titled "The New Gentry." The thrust of the story was affluent retirees are moving into rural America. A map of the United States that appeared in that article, based on information from the United States Department of Commerce, highlighted recreational and retirement counties with significant aggregate dividend, interest, and rental income increases from the years 1996 to the year 2005. And guess what? On that map, highlighted, was Mendocino County, with a 37% increase in reported investment income for that 9-year period. While during that same period, data from the Bureau of Economic Analysis showed a decrease of wage and salary jobs for this county of 6.2%. Also, the Bureau of the Census reported that while the county's general population has remained basically static in recent times, from 1990 to 2006, there's been a population increase in this county of people over 60 of 19%. These data suggest to me that, as Paul Revere might have said, the woofs are coming, the woofs are coming. Well, they're already here. Friends of mine who play cards tell me to always play to your strengths. If that's true, it seems to me that as Mendocino County considers its plans for economic development, we ought to learn more about these woofs who bring investment income from the outside to spend it here inside our county. What goods and services do they want that will attract more of them here? And how do we market Mendocino County to get more of them to come? Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker I have is Judy Pruden.
Thank you for holding this Economic Development Conference. I do have a couple of requests of the Board of Supervisors. I'm hoping in some way you can kick free the logjam that's occurred over the railroad. The railroad is a significant transportation resource for us, and I feel like we're being held hostage by Marin and other communities which either don't need the railroad or don't seem to understand the connection as it runs all the way up to Eureka. We can't solve Humboldt and the canyons problem, but we certainly could get the railroad as far as Willits. I'm pretty much sure on that. So if there's some way you can start issuing a louder, more noisy statements about the need of the railroad in our community, I think that's important because, like I said, Sonoma and Marin have basically trumped the conversation. I think it's important, too, that as the general plan, once it is finally adopted, that it has a very clear economic policy in it, an economic element that states what we want to happen in this community and how we want it to happen. Self-determination is critical for our way of thinking and the way we live. Any of you have had an aquarium and ever put a piranha in, you know how piranha work. What they do is they don't attack the fish directly. They snip at the tail, they snip at the fins, and pretty soon you have this little blob sort of floating around in the tank, and then the piranha goes in for the kill. Well, we're not guppies, and we don't need the